again with DJ Richie Skye. Today we're actually going to do our first actual recap of Miami because you guys have been asking for it, and who better than Richie? I mean, he is one of our housewife savants, in-house housewife savants. Pretty soon we'll see him with his own podcast on Heard At, which I'm very happy about. Wanted to mention that. How you doing, Richie, today?
I'm good. I've been up early preparing for this, excited about it, so I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, before we even start, we got new taglines.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to play them so that we can have our little discussion about them. I really like them, but let's see what our listeners think. Pat, can you play the taglines?
I may be a Cuban doll, but I'm no one's toy.
It's hard to get on my backside because I don't have one.
I'm a fierce fighter and an even stronger survivor.
My chicken coop is full, and now so is my house.
I may not be prompt, but I'm worth the wait.
I don't just sell luxury, I live it.
Okay. I think Larsa's and Lisa's are my least favorite. I don't hate them, but they're not wow. I love Alexia's. I think it's perfect because I'm nobody's toy is really in line with who the fuck you think you're dealing with, Todd, you know? And then, Julia's as well. Gertie's, about being a survivor. She is such a survivor. So I really like them. And Stephanie, I don't know how long you've been following her on social media. I've been following her for a while, even before I knew she was going to be a housewife, because she lives this life of incredible luxury. So I was very excited to have her on the show because it just seemed like it was very real.
Yeah.
And I don't know to what extent it's all real. There's been a lot of talk about her husband's. Look, it's so funny because she talks about how her husband started that business in the 80s, and the truth is that it was his father that started the business, because many years ago I used to do real estate closings and his father was still in charge. So he took over the business. He's done a good job growing it. There's a lot of talk associated with how they met. I think she worked there. He divorced his wife at the time. This is all alleged. I mean, it's not alleged that he divorced her, but it's alleged that he kind of took some of the money of his daughter's trust to kind of pay for this lifestyle. And I don't know that he can afford Stephanie. You know what I'm saying? Because Stephanie only wears Chanel and only... she has every Birkin known to man, and I don't know if you know the Birkin game. We've talked about it on the show before. But for you to have access to every Birkin that comes out, the latest one, the best one, the most unique ones, and she has access to all of them, you have to spend like $1 million a year at Hermes. If not, they won't even talk to you. They won't put you on the wait list. So she's spending the money, but are they borrowing from Peter to pay Paul? According to, and this is in the paper, South Florida Journal, whatever, I can put it up, that he had to put his $8 million jet up as collateral for something. Yeah. So I want to know, first of all, let's talk about the intro cards. Do you have a favorite? Do you have one that you don't like?
I think the two that stuck out to me, ironically, are Gertie's and Julia's.
You didn't like them?
No, they stuck out to me as, I think, ones that I felt like were like resonant with who they are and where they are in their journeys now.
Right.
I always look for that and something that kind of like means something. Mm-hmm. Alexia's felt like Alexia. Like I always say Alexia feels like Teresa.
Alexia is Teresa. Alexia's Teresa with blonde hair. We know that.
Yeah.
But
it's two sides of the same coin to me.
Yeah. And it's just, she's repurposing the same thing. It's like, you were a doll when we started. I get it. But you've got one foot on 60 and another one on a banana peel. So you can't be a doll at 60. You went from Cuban Barbie to menopause Barbie, and that's okay. Me too. You know what I mean? But so the doll thing is a little tired, but I did think it was good. Like the toy part, it's like, don't play with me.
I like that part.
Yeah. As much as I don't love her, I dislike Todd more. And, yeah, I think he's a tool. And I didn't used to think that. I've defended Todd on this show, so call me a flip-flopper. I'm not really a flip-flopper. I am learning things as I go along, just like you guys, and just kind of interpreting the evidence as best I can. And the evidence is pointing to he's an asshole,
Yeah.
and he's playing with her as a toy.
But she's also got to realize that, too. Like, your
She's gotta
tagline
realize
can't
that.
be, don't play with me, and then every episode she's being played with.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And I don't know if he's actually just playing with her and that's why she is so, like, she can't deal with it, or because she is so, like, I want it. You can't take away something from me that I want. She's very much like that, It has to do with her sign. It has to do with all those things. She's very much, I don't know how you say that in English, but caprichosa, like I'm getting it back no matter what. And then maybe she'll dump him. But she wants to get it back for the sake of getting it back. I don't know.
I look at the way the other women react to her and him. And I think that kind of has to inform the audience and how we feel about him at times too, right?
Right.
Because their relationship could be completely different behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. But it's how the ladies respond to her and him that I feel like kind of helps us as a viewer.
Marisol.
Like, exactly.
Especially
she's the
Marisol.
key. She's the key
Because
to how
Marisol
we
seems
react.
to know.
I feel like she's the secret agent.
Marisol? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's the secret agent. She's the one who's telling us, like, oh my God, did she really spend the night with him? Like, oh my God. Like, I feel like she's putting the bug in our ear.
Yeah, well, that's Marisol's role, isn't it? I think Marisol is very much, at this point, the narrator of the show.
Yep. I would
And
agree.
honestly, if there's anybody I dislike in this world, because it's not really Alexia. I hate Alexia, the Alexia that's influenced by Marisol. But Marisol on her own, I'll repeat what Beba said. She's a rotten corpse. But make her a fucking housewife already. She's giving you everything.
She literally is.
She deserves to be a housewife. For better, for worse, she brings more to the show than a lot of people. Give her the frickin' mojito already.
I kind of wonder if maybe they didn't do it initially because she was single. And they kind of, it seemed like they wanted those, like the women that had like relationships when they brought the show back initially. But it felt like she started to kind of outshine. I don't want to say outshine, but she's brought. I mean, you dislike her or not. I mean, she brings a lot.
And she's smart, Yeah. The other people aren't smart. I feel like some of her things are pre-planned and pre-whatever.
Oh, of course.
Her delivery's pretty good, whatever. I'm not loving the meow, meow, meow. Like, I have no idea. Why is she Purina commercial now? But most of it is funny. So I say give her a mojito. Like, I was almost expecting to see an intro card from her because it's almost weird that it's not there.
Yeah.
I think she brings the best fashion. I think she brings whatever. Steve seems like a very nice guy. I no longer think he's gay. I take that back. But he's dull. Right?
But you know what, though?
But
maybe
he lets
dull
her
is.
shine.
Yeah. I think that's what she probably needed. But it's so interesting to me to watch Marisol now versus when we kind of first discovered Miami, like as a city, as a Housewives franchise. I thought she was so boring.
Yeah.
Like she seemed so mousy, and I was like, why does everybody else have to defend you? And now it's just like
had a tremendous glow up.
Yeah, like who is
She's
this? This is a different woman.
Yeah, Marisol has done like a real glow up, not only physically, because I do think she had a facelift that came out fantastic. And she's had a glow up in either everyone else sucks and she shines, or she really has stepped it up a notch. And so I don't like her. I want to make it very clear. I do not like the woman. I am not taking that back ever. But I think she's good for the show. I do think she's good for the show. What is your general? This is the first time we see Stephanie introduced to us. I've been waiting anxiously for this moment. What was your first impression?
She's no Lisa Vanderpump to me. Like, I feel like she's just someone who just stepped into wealth.
Yes. 100% new money.
Yeah, but it lacks the real refinement that I would be expecting from somebody at that level. Well, right? It doesn't seem like she was groomed into this world.
No. There's a saying that rich yells and wealth whispers. And she is rich. And I put a little compilation together.
Uh-oh.
Pat, roll that beautiful bean footage.
I was in the south of France, yachting.
We're getting caviar shortly.
Just let the Birkin be. I mean, he came when I was 26 years old and he was 50. Not want to be seen with an older gentleman because of the misconception of people thinking that if you are with an older guy, you are probably a gold digger.
Brought Stephanie to the show, which is amazing. I met her and I said, what attracted you to your husband? And she goes, his wallet.
I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be filthy rich. Do you only want to come hang out with me and have caviar and rosé in the sky? Not with Valentino gloves, clearly, but.
Oh my God, I got shit on my Versace. I got shit on my Versace.
You know, I captured all these moments of don't touch the Birkin, let the Birkin be, yachting, south of France, thank you for flying Shoma Air, caviar, my Valentino gloves. And then, of course, you know, she didn't want to be with an older man because of the misconception about the fact that she might be a gold digger. And then I remembered Caroline Stanbury, who brought her to the show, being on Jeff Lewis. And I added the part where Caroline Stanbury said that her favorite thing about Stephanie was that when she asked her whether what she loved about her husband, the most about her husband, she said his wallet. And so it goes on at the end. She's going like, and so, oh my God, you spilled on my Versace. Look, I don't know anybody that goes on a boat, no matter the size, that calls it yachting. I think that is the first clue. Nobody that has a PJ is talking about their private plane all the time, constantly taking pictures of their private plane. So I say, Stephanie, act like you've been there, you know? Even if it's clear that you haven't. I didn't love that. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of like, I love the entry with the private jet. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I do want to see wealth. We want to see it, right?
Yes.
But I felt like it would have been a better use for it to take the cast on like a cast trip or something like that, right?
Right.
I'm going to go to fly to Orlando, which is like
pick up my dogs. Listen,
like let's have a better use for that.
Exactly. And you know, the point is that if they would have shown all those aspects of her life and she didn't kind of talk about, like, it's okay. We know you're wearing Chanel head to toe. Most of us have been following you for a while on social media. We've seen you with Michael, the general manager of Hermès in Paris. We know, we get it. Don't touch the Birkin. The Birkin is my emotional support animal. Dude, let it go. And so here's the thing about this show. Like, people will say it's a top tier housewife show. And I always get taken aback by that because I don't see it that way. But I think that what I see is a show of people that I know too well and that are, to me, very predictable, right? And so maybe that's why I don't enjoy it that much. But it finally dawned on me after I talked to a few people that said, no, the reason we say it's a top tier show is because it's so fucking entertaining because they are so ridiculous. Yeah. And most of them are really dumb. And because the things they say are so you are just like, you can't believe your eyes and you can't believe your ears. And so I get that. And I'm trying to look at the show that way.
It's
What's
campy.
Your perception of it, you know, as a whole?
I agree with that assessment. It's campy. It's fun. It doesn't feel so weighed down. Even there are aspects of it that I felt like, I mean, in the last episode, I was kind of like cringing at. But outside of that, even the way it was handled by the person it happened to, I felt like, okay, I can still go about my day to day and I'm not like so angry about
Right.
it. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like the show feels like a breath of fresh air when it
Right,
comes to housewives.
Sure, I get that. So we start with the opening scene of Julia and the opera. I feel so bad for the guy that's helping her with the opera because she's telling him these stories and it's like, why are you telling me this? I couldn't care less. I think she's a little tone deaf, but I do admire her desire to learn something new. Because I've done a lot, not a lot, like 2 different auditions lately just to see if I can act. The answer to that would be no. But I think, and so then I gave it up. You know what I mean? Unless something came that was really like, we think you're perfect. But I am more for unscripted, you know?
Right.
I'm just better thinking, don't make me repeat shit. I'm not good at that. So, you know, that whole thing is ridiculous. And then we go into Gertie kind of decorating her house for Halloween. And I find it really cute how her kids are much older. One of them loves it. The other one is like, what the hell is going on here? And then she goes on to talk to Russell, who, by the way, is the greatest house husband ever. What an amazing guy he is. Talking about what happened to her. And I honestly thought that she was trying to cry. I've seen Gertie when she's in the thick of it, you know, she's terrified but is trying to be brave. And the anguish of that is very real to me. But I'm going to play this to you. First, it's going to show you what happened between them and then her reaction. And you tell me if this was an exaggeration, because I don't want the Ace's total dislike of her to color my perception.
Okay.
Be quiet. I literally.
Don't you tell this a liar. Martina had a
Oh my God.
You're a liar.
They're gonna kick us out.
Such a liar.
Crazy. I don't even know what to say. Like, she violated me in front of the girls for their entertainment. That's what she did to me. I am actually sick to my stomach just thinking about it. Because it was a physical, symbolic act to degrade me to a level that, as if I was nothing. And I've never felt that way before.
Okay. So the only thing I've learned about acting is that when you're really crying, you're trying not to cry. And to me, it looked like she was trying to cry. Plus, she didn't seem that shocked or offended by it when it happened. Like, she's a tough cookie. It was water. Look, it's not right. But violated?
I'll give you my as objective as I can take on the situation. I think that they both, in their explanations of the situation, you know, they both
I
kind
think
of
Julia's full of shit.
they both
preface this by saying, to me, what Julia did was unforgivable, and her excuse for it on social media, even worse. Okay. Horrible.
So I feel like in explaining this to their friends and family and loved ones, I feel like they both probably amped it up a bit, you know what I'm saying, for effect, right? But I do think that there is something about, like, this is so crazy to me because I had somebody spit on me when I was younger. And I'm like, and I go back to that moment and I've remembered it forever.
Right, but Richie, you know, you and I have talked about this because we've known each other for a long time, and we were close when Black Lives Matter happened, and I think this, you know, bears discussion. If somebody spit on me, I'll just look at them and say, fuck you spit on me, you're such an asshole. I wouldn't feel degraded by it. You felt degraded by it.
Yes.
Because you've felt degraded probably your whole life.
Yes.
So could this really have felt like a violation to her?
Yes.
Because of her. Okay.
Yeah. And
That's
I think
fair.
that it's kind of like and sometimes in order to get people to understand it, I feel like you almost
Have to live it.
have to relive it, you know what I mean, a little bit, so that other people can get why you might be upset about it.
Right.
So the act for Julia may not have meant much it may have felt very Housewives, because even when she first threw it, okay, it didn't really do much. I gotta really make a splash. It was kind of like, I don't even know if Gertie would have even realized how did we get here, because it didn't seem like it warranted that in that moment.
No, it didn't, because she's completely unhinged, that woman.
It just kind of seemed like, in my mind, if I'm Gertie, I'm like, what do you do? What do you do with that? Like,
right. And
how do you react?
She went on to say, like, I dealt with this in junior high.
Exactly.
So
how
that's
is it
the part I
happening
thought,
again?
maybe I'm not seeing the whole picture. So it's interesting. I'm glad to get your perspective on that, because I don't like to rush to judgment. A lot of people feel like Gertie is a lot, and Gertie is a lot. No matter what, she is a lot. But she's done a lot with her being a lot. Do you know what I mean? Kudos to her. I don't know if I'd have the balls to go out there and be so extra in order to be in the position she's in today. There's nobody probably more recognizable on that show and more connected and getting more opportunities than Gertie. Nobody.
Yeah.
And she's done it in no time.
And you have to have that fight, that aggressive sort of like, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to get my moments with, these people. And I think maybe that's where Julia kind of confuses this a little bit with, you wanted to take pictures with Captain Sandy. And it's like, no, I've got to be public facing. I've got to make these connections. And girl, I came back for you. Like, what are you talking about?
Right, exactly.
So I think there's a little bit of that.
If she's there and she's on a trip and she has, and Julia left her behind because she didn't want her, or for whatever reason, either couldn't bring her or didn't want to bring her. I mean, I wouldn't go on a cruise if I just came back on a cruise for my own mother. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I would have been like, no, I'm not going.
I thought it was nice
I'm
of her
sorry.
to go. And to get opportunities from that, why not? You're already there. So
exactly.
I don't know what's wrong with Julia, because there is something wrong with Julia. And I'm not talking about, like, I don't like to use the word crazy, because some people would consider me crazy. No, I have mental health issues. I just think she's badass crazy in a different way. Not like, she's not struggling with depression. She's just like, this is what I feel like doing, I'm going to do that. This is what I feel like saying, I'm going to say that. And people talk about no filter, but we all have a little bit of a filter. And I think she needs to, I don't know. I don't see her coming back. What about you?
I have a hard time seeing her back. I mean, I think they would keep her because she has the story. She has the extended family. She has Martina. There is something there that I think
MVP of the show for me.
I think there's something there for Julia, but I don't understand her, because to me she reads as inauthentic. I didn't buy that she was that upset with Gertie about what it was. What I think is that she's in good with Alexia. I feel like she is now leaving Adriana and everybody else in the dust because she's trading up. That is what it feels like. As soon as she had an opportunity to get with someone richer, she wanted, Stephanie beside her at the party that Adriana is throwing for her. Like, girl, like what? Like, you need to stand with the people that you came in this game with. Like, I just don't understand her movements.
Yeah, and even in the truth or dare thing, who would you have a threesome with? Even Stephanie goes, "You've known me for 5 minutes."
Like, girl, what?
So yeah, that was disingenuous. I think I like the storyline. I do like that that she's adopting children that are Black. I think that's a great,
absolutely
awesome thing to see. It's hard not to. To find it heartwarming that somebody at this stage in their life, including Martina, who's older, are giving homes to children that need it, and they're not that little. Everybody wants a baby. They're taking kids. They took the brother. I really do admire that. So I don't want to take that away from her.
Yeah, but that's why I don't understand what she's doing, because she doesn't have to do all of these extra things.
She didn't need to do that.
She's got story.
Yeah. And Martina is really working really hard. I think Martina's so in love with her, and Martina will do anything. And I look at the TV and I go, you are an iconic, like, athlete, respected all over the world. What are you doing? But what we do for love, right? What we do for love. She's so in love with her. She'll do anything.
Amen.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then we go into Kiki. How do you feel about Kiki?
What I like about Miami is that they do give the friends their own stories. Like they follow them, and I just feel like I love that about this show. I love seeing her and her journey with her father, her dad, and her mom, and I thought that was really cool. But I kind of wonder, like, who is Kiki really closest to?
No,
My general
I agree.
sense is that she's closest to Larsa.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'll tell you one thing about Kiki. My only experience with Kiki was that awful scene that I had to shoot, that then they edited all down and you saw nothing. But I will tell you that when I was arguing, and I did talk, guys, for a long time, she felt like she needed to get involved in something she knew nothing about. You didn't even, you were 8 years old watching Sesame Street when I was on the show. You know what I'm saying? You don't know anything about this. And she's like, yeah, because I think, just shut up. So that's why I think she's kind of like an enigma, because we don't know where she lands. But she's also so entertaining. She's beautiful, really
absolutely
stunning,
gorgeous.
Yeah. Ace loves her. Oh my God, he wants to take a mojito to her house right now. So I cannot even say anything negative about her. But I don't have anything negative to say. I will say that it was really hard for me to watch the scene with her dad.
Yeah.
Who seemed very detached emotionally from her. He wouldn't even look at her. Honestly, he came across as a dick.
I have to, though, applaud the production, because what I love is the way that they simultaneously told two dad stories. Yes. And the stories were kind of eerily similar.
Yeah.
And while one is given the opportunity to try to make things right with her dad, you had Lisa, who wasn't really able to have that opportunity. So to juxtapose those two relationships in the past two episodes, I just thought that was
you're right. You're right.
I think that there's sometimes we forget that there's some real thought that goes into how the show is produced. And I just thought that was absolutely stellar.
Yeah, I did like that. I felt for her because she was trying so hard to connect with him. He was ignoring the little girl. I don't know at what point he was carrying her. Again, look, you got to take editing into consideration. Everything we see is not necessarily the whole picture. Mm-hmm. So I want to give him a little grace, but man, he didn't even look at her. And he's collecting children and girlfriends over there. It's weird, Yeah. So I feel that I will look at Kiki from now on through that lens as somebody that's been her whole life trying to get attention from someone that's emotionally unavailable. Right? It's sad.
And then what trickle down effect does that have on her relationships with men now?
Oh, of course, yes. And her dad looks really young too.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in Haiti he might be like a big stud. Apparently he's a big stud. He looks very young too.
A with the men that she brings into her life,
yeah,
or how she relates to other women as a result of whatever he had going on with those women as well.
Yeah, I think that she's good with the girls for the most part, but she kind of moves around a lot of whose side she's on now. That seems to change.
That's a little frustrating.
Yeah,
that's frustrating for me.
And I'll tell you the part where they were trying to figure out, and I'm skipping around a little bit, they were trying to figure out who said what, or who's told the story. And you see her sitting with Gertie, and Gertie's just eating, and she goes, because they're trying to figure out who told the story. She goes, me. It was me. I actually loved that. You know what I mean? It too. It's that's something I would do. It was me, and. And so
I didn't like that Kiki took it back.
I know. I didn't like
because
that.
Lisa wasn't willing to do it.
Yeah.
Lisa was I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. And I like that Alexia was not saying, we don't have to do that, because that made me think it was Alexia. So I wish that they had left it a mystery for a little bit longer.
And Kiki, that's what I saw when I filmed, that she was that person. Anything to have the cameras turn to her. And the truth is that, she wants to be a housewife. You're not on that show if you don't want to be a housewife.
Right.
even if it's just for the simple reason that you make a lot more money as a housewife.
Absolutely.
You know, they were paying, I don't know if, I'm sure they got some kind of raise, but they were paying them $1,000 an episode last year, or when Nicole was on. Yeah, last year. So that's not enough. And so she needs to get airtime, and she'll do it by any means possible, and you can't blame her for that. So,
and I was going to wonder that. I was wondering that too, like, as I was watching it, and I don't know if you have any knowledge of this, but I'm thinking to myself, maybe that's why they keep Marisol and Adriana and Kiki as friends.
Oh, no, of course.
So they don't have
They're
to give them that pay.
buck.
Exactly. Makes sense
Yeah.
now.
Let's talk a second about Adriana, because you've watched from the beginning. Who is that person? What magic sorcery has happened to her face? She looks great.
She
does look
listen,
great. She's
she
not
looks
the
great.
Same person, but she looks great.
She is not the same person either.
No.
I don't
But she
know
looks
who we're
better.
seeing this season, but she's a much different person. I don't know if did somebody talk to her in between seasons? Like, did somebody tell her to like cool it down a little bit? Because I feel like this woman that
you
we're
mean
seeing
she's
is
a different person personality-wise?
Yeah, like whatever. Listen, maybe whatever face comes with a new personality, but she's a lot more toned down this season.
She is so far.
So far.
Yeah.
I've always liked Adriana. So
I do
to
like
me,
Adriana because I
don't want to lose that spice
No, I
that
don't
she's
want to
always
either.
had.
Yeah. But I think they're confusing her too, because especially Marisol and Alexia keep changing their mind about how they feel about her. Sometimes you see them being super nice to her, and other times they act like she's the devil. And I feel like now without, we don't see that yet, but we find out because we've seen it on social media that there's a big falling out between them. Without Julia, what does she really have? And she was friends with Nicole, and so she's trying to hang on to something. So I do feel sorry for Adriana because I feel that she's very mysterious. I don't know what her life is like. I think she might be very alone. I know her son, Alex, is away. It's a wonderful kid. And I don't know, but I'm telling you, she looks at least 20 years younger than what she is. Adriana's 60. Okay. I mean, yes, she looks 40. She looks the same age to me as Lisa.
Unbelievable to me.
60. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, when you saw the episode before with that French guy, that seemed so desperate. And I just, oh God, you're better than that, I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the way she was kind of, I don't know. I'm always like a little bit cagey about when like a housewife brings in somebody that they're just casually dating and they kind of go overboard with the lovey-dovey, like kissy, and I'm like, is this real? Like, or did you just need someone to film with?
Right. But you know what? I will give her, and maybe she'll do it later, but she hasn't done I told you so so much to Alexia. Has she? Have you seen that? I don't think she has.
Not as much as she could.
Right. Because she was right.
But I feel like it almost seems like Adriana and Julia sort of want to get Alexia's approval in some way, shape, or form. Like, I just feel like they want to be close to Alexia by any means necessary.
Look, I think at this point, like you said, Alexia is the, Teresa of Miami. So that's what happened with Teresa. Love her or hate her, you wanted to be close to her because you know that she wielded the power on that show. Even though behind the scenes, I think Marisol wields the most power because she's the one that's closest to production, but they're pretty much the same. I think, that they want to be close to her. Also, Alexia has secret weapons, She's not universally liked, but now she's a victim in so many ways. This guy is hurting her, and most women will stand up for a woman when a man has wronged them because we've all been there, right? And then she has Frankie, who, how can you not love Frankie? And how can you not love the relationship and the commitment that she has to him? So those are, things that every time you're just like, oh, fuck, I can't stand her. Then you see Frankie and it's like, oh, but, she's such a good mom. Or, oh, but look at this guy, what he did to her. As much as I might dislike her, he's an asshole. So her storylines are solid. And so, yeah, of course you want to be close to her. Because,
so interesting.
You know, and that's where I tell you that Marisol is very smart. This friendship of besties and all that shit, I was around. They knew each other in the same way that I knew Marisol. She did all the events in town, you know, and so you knew her. That's it. And then Marisol knows who to get close to. But and I do believe that over all this time they have become very close. But it started getting really close when Miami came back, or right before Miami came back, when Marisol was trying to make that happen. And if anybody made that happen, it was Marisol. Marisol and Danny Pellegrino, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
she's
interesting.
really worked tirelessly.
That the person they're not trying to get closest to is, I would have thought it would have been Larsa.
No. Larsa,
And let me tell you,
they were going to bring Larsa back.
The only reason I say it is because Larsa, to me, has the most lethal mouth on that show.
Really?
She, to me, is the person that would do the most damage. When she gets angry, I feel like...
But I don't see...
I don't feel like she has any limits.
I think that she's so calm and she talks like, well, you know, like, well... But maybe... I think I tune her out. Because her... there's no inflection. And so I don't know what she says. I find her... You know, she got pissed off and called me a clown the other day because I was on Rachel Yucatel's podcast. She did ours and I did hers. And she was asking me, what do you think of Larsa? And I said, I don't know. I find her so boring, you know? And she was like, you clown. You know, she put whatever clown. And I said, like, well, lend me your lips. Maybe I can get a job at the circus. And I put a picture of her lips, which, by the way, the lips are out of control this season, but hers are the worst. Yeah, that
Larsa talks like a Kardashian.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what
not
it
to compare the groups, because I know that's a thing.
Why do you not
but
compare them? She's wondering why she wasn't at the Bezos wedding, you know? She thinks she's a Kardashian. Like, I just wish she'd tell us the truth, you know? She pretends she's had nothing done. Do you remember Larsa season 1?
I do.
Okay, so she says the only thing is that she's gained 40 pounds. All in her ass.
Girl,
you know?
you've gained some things. It's not just that.
Yeah, it's a lot. And the lips are like flying saucers. It's like, it's so bad.
They do border on distracting. I mean, she's still a beautiful woman, but it's almost like she's etched in stone.
You know, listen, Lebanese women, you know, Beva got a lot of the Lebanese in her dad's family. They're gorgeous. She has a lot of... She didn't need to do that, is my point, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. She likes younger guys, and so I think maybe that's part of it, you know? But yeah, she looks, for her age, I don't know what her age is. I don't know if she's close to 50, but she looks amazing. But the lips are a little bit overdone, I think. And then,
yeah, they're a lot.
Yeah, they're a lot. They're a lot. You know, listen, some of the ladies, I'll tell you, I think Lisa looks beautiful this season because I think that she's had some of the filler dissolved. She still looks like a different person from when she started because she looked like this baby and whatever. And it's hard when your husband has like an aesthetic institute to not go there and say, just a little more, you know, especially when you're not paying for it. I think she looks better. I don't dislike Lisa. I've never disliked Lisa because I think Lisa doesn't have a lot of bad intentions.
Yeah.
Like
I don't get that. I don't get that impression either.
Yeah. What do you think about the attack on Jody? About being psycho and his eyes and stuff. There are pictures where I look psychotic. And one could argue that I am psychotic, but, you know, from my doctor's perspective, psychosis is not one of the things I have. I have many other things, but not that. So it was just a bad picture, right? Like, I've talked to Jody, and I find him to be, like, really nice and normal.
I thought it was just a bad picture. I mean, what was telling to me in that scene was before Larsa showed the picture, Julia asked about his eyes. And I don't know if people picked up on that. So I thought, did they already have this conversation? But Julia asked right before Larsa showed the photo.
Richie.
Yeah, like if you go back and watch the scene, go and watch it. And she's like, and I'm like, why would she bring up the picture unless she already saw it, or unless Lisa maybe Larsa had already told her about it. But I'm like, has this already been a topic of conversation? And to be honest with you, the lights in his eyes, like, I think they're still trying to go back to that correlation between was the AC code for something else, in the previous episode. Like, I think that they're trying to make this correlation to paint him as like someone who is on
Coke.
The Pepsi
like
Cola.
Everybody in Miami.
And that was going to be my other statement. I mean, I don't know about people that have not really been to Miami like that may watch the show. But Anna, before I moved to Miami,
they gave you Coke on the plane on the way to Miami.
I did not know why everybody was going to the bathroom all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I literally thought that people were just going to pee.
Let me tell you, I lived in Miami my whole life. And I was so sheltered and such a dork that the first time I saw something like that and people calling it, I remember Cuban girls that were close to me in high school, they would call it yayo. Like they called it so many things, I didn't know what it was. And I never did it my whole life. I now love THC. I am California sober. Not all the time, but whatever. I'm not a drinker, so I do like that. But that started when I was 50 because I used it to try to sleep. Now I just like the feeling. You know what I mean? So, and
I do
also
it to sleep.
So I'm not saying I'm a saint or anything, but I've never done that, and it scares me. When I saw Scarface, I had to leave the theater. I was very young. And while I was sitting there, it dawned on me that one of my very closest friends, the dad had pit bulls in a cage that I guess he fought, put them to fight against each other. Those roosters that fought each other. He had the farm on RHOM Avenue and the, whatever, in the Redlands. And the Pasofinos and this and that, and he had big rings, and he talked weird, and he always had a runny nose, and the mistresses, and I'm like, wait a second, her dad, I practically lived in her house, her dad is freaking Tony Montana. And so I left this theater crying hysterical, and I told my dad, I think that my friend's dad is like a drug dealer. He goes, you think? Like, how much of an idiot are you? He goes, the only reason we let you go over there is because he's always with his mistresses and not with, her mother, and they're nice people, and she's a great girl. So, yeah, Miami's very much about that. And I think that when he posted, not an apology, but tried to discuss that, he said, if I was doing coke, I would tell you I was doing coke. But I am a health freak. And you can't tell that. Like, he is ripped and very, and that's not what I was doing. Also, people think like they went into a bedroom. It's a 6,000 square foot apartment. Think about that for a second. 6,000 square feet. That's humongous. Huge. Right. So the bedroom is an entire wing that has its own sitting area, its own whatever. Jody doesn't like to be on camera, and his friends certainly don't want to be on camera. And so I'm not saying I believe 100% that he wasn't, but I think that he deserves the benefit of the doubt. Yeah,
I think the crazy eyes, I mean, we've seen Ramona with those, so I mean, we're not asking if she's on it. So, right. And think about all the things she's done. So,
and I do not, I get that it's fodder for the show when we're trying to get ratings, but man, that's somebody's reputation. You know what I mean? Yeah. The fact that they stay on that.
And they're playing with it. That's what bothers me. They're playing with it. And he's not necessarily, I mean, he's a part of the show because he's with her, but I just feel like it's a trope on these shows to go after the men, especially if he's not even doing anything yet. But clearly something I do believe did happen while they were in Milan based on Larsa's conversation.
But
with
did you find
their
that guy
friend.
Credible?
I felt like they needed to have a conversation to justify what she was saying.
Yeah. So I don't know that I believe it, Richie. I don't know that I believe it. I think that guy wanted his 5 minutes, and I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying we need to consider that because I don't know that I believe it. Because the problem is that Larsa's looking really bad in that Milan thing.
That part. He could have just been the person that's on Larsa's side. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you have a good friend, your good friend is going to like ride for you regardless. So, I mean, it's hard to say. If I had a neutral party tell me that, somebody that was not in, you know what I'm saying, that was not necessarily a close friend of Larsa's, then I could be like, maybe it did happen. But Lisa seems truly like shell-shocked at every moment in this thing.
And I
so
also
it's hard
think
for me
that she went there and she did what she was supposed to do. And the fact that Larsa couldn't give her, like, she started taking a selfie with a big light and stuff during the time she was walking. To me, it read like jealousy. You know? So, I don't know. And also Larsa saying that he's a social climber. I don't see that either. First of all, I don't, when I spoke to him, I think his job is in software. I don't believe that being on the show could help an IT kind of person or a software developer in any way. In that world, this doesn't even count. You know, Todd, on the other hand, has gotten a following into his whole, like, Tony Robbins real estate shit because of Alexia. He has benefited. So what I saw in Jody is somebody that really is in love with her and wants, if anything, she's using him. And I don't mean that she's using him knowingly. I think that she needs like a little pillow, something to hold on to. I think Lisa would go back with Lenny tomorrow. I really do. Because, and she might end up saying, what did I do? What a mistake, and want to go back to Jody. But Jody's there for her. I've seen it. I've seen him go crazy looking for a purse that she thought she had lost. I mean, he coddles her. He's very nice to her. I don't know why I'm defending Jody because I don't really know him that well. But it's what I've seen. It's what I've seen.
Well, I think that's the point. You've seen it with your own eyes.
Yeah,
so it's hard for you to now think something different because you've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we go, you know, we see Julia grocery shopping with Martina. And I just love every scene with Martina. And she says to her, you know, she acknowledges that what she did was wrong. I don't know. Did that come off to you a little disingenuous? Or?
I don't think it came across as disingenuous as much as I think that it was kind of one of those situations where you shouldn't have done it anyway.
Yeah.
That's number one, because it really wasn't warranted. Like nothing could have.
No, nothing.
The things that worked you up to that point weren't worth it. If the payoff had been different, we could say something like, you know what I'm saying? If she had really gone there with Julia, then I could say that. But I just felt like she did what she should have done. Right. And I don't know how much credit we can give her for, okay, yeah, you should do this.
She had to justify how she was going to invite her, which she didn't end up going, and she had to say something. I thought it was too little, too late. I have seen Julia completely unhinged. It was one of the craziest things, and it was during my scene, and it was all cut out. And I really was so surprised that they cut it out because it was so good. So we were talking about something that triggered her. And I was saying that Marisol had said something that triggered her. And she picked up a chair and she started pounding the chair on the floor. She goes, "You said that? I can't believe you said that." And pounding the chair, picking it up, about to throw it at her. They had to grab her. And they left it out because they said it was too dark for Bravo. So she gets unhinged. Like, this was nothing compared to that. Nothing compared to that. So we get to the baby shower, and then we have, wanted to make sure the baby shower was not boring. Tell me what you think about the diaper thing. Because I want it to die. I gagged.
I'm never a fan of a poop joke.
Right.
Number one.
Me neither.
But
inside a diaper, it's even worse.
Yeah, I just feel like the idea, and I get it, you know what I'm saying? You want to do something outlandish to make sure that the scene is like, it's shown and it pops and all this stuff. But to me, I think that housewives and poop just don't go together. It didn't work on the Real Housewives of Dallas when it became a thing. And I don't want to see it pushed any further. Yeah. I just don't.
It was gross. I mean, I know people think that Lisa was a little exaggerated, that she wanted to go through the bathroom to throw up. But honestly, look, I've seen the game before. I've not participated in it, where it's only chocolate. And so chocolate is not as bad. But lentils and beans and stuff, I'm sorry, I would have gagged too. But, and then the truth or dare, was also kind of funny. I thought it was really funny how Martina was looking at Kiki when she was twerking. She was enjoying that. And then, of course, we already talked about, who she would do the, I think that Stephanie really, they say she's a firecracker. I think she's a troublemaker, I think what she said to Alexia, who the fuck does she think she is? You know what I mean?
Why would that be the first thing you say to somebody?
Right. Nobody asked for, like, if I wanted your opinion, I'd beat it out of you, little girl,
Or let us at least talk about the topic. It was out of left field. Like, we're not even talking about this right now. So
can I give you some advice? And it's like, sure. I
no,
thought that was
actually.
inappropriate.
No, you can't. Absolutely not. I don't even know you that well.
I think if that's, again, guys, I am taking into considering editing because, man, I have been really, on the other side, receiving end of that. So I want to consider that. But if we're going to see this Stephanie through the entire season, we're going to freaking hate her. Because really there was no need for that. I don't know.
I don't know any of them that would have been upset about spilling anything on their Versace. Any wealthy person, any truly wealthy. She wanted
to say Versace. She said Versace 50 times.
Exactly. Like, who even says that?
What about just my dress? Oh my God, you dirtied my dress. Why do you have to say Versace? Why do you have to say Birkin? Why do you have to say?
People with real money like that, they just wouldn't say it. Like,
no, they wouldn't.
Actually, I think that they would have just downplayed it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was a lot, and but it left us wanting more, right? I'm dying to see where she goes next episode.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want to
show us the closet.
I want to see more. I think we get to see Masood next time. He's actually a really nice guy. I've met him. He's actually a very nice guy. I just think she's bleeding him dry. I don't think he has the kind of money, and real estate market isn't good enough to justify like what she spends. I also don't think, in when she was talking about, like, ever since she wanted to be a little girl, she wanted to be filthy rich. I don't know. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be president of the United States, or I wanted to be a supermodel, like not a supermodel, but like, let's say that you have those dreams. Who dreams of being filthy rich? You can dream of being famous, but the fact that she dreamt of being filthy rich is very telling. I also think when they show her at work, it looks contrived to me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it reminded me of, and this may not have been made up, but it reminded me of seeing Marisol in her office back in the day.
Yeah.
With her staff.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of that. Yeah. Like, I didn't believe that then. I don't believe this now.
Yeah. No, Marisol had a partner that was amazing, who's now working with Carol Bell, who's now kind of the lady in waiting, which is almost embarrassing for Kathy Hilton. And you see Kathy pushing her around, but she's a really smart girl, and she's the one that ran that company. So, yeah. But I do think Marisol did more than what I think this girl is doing. The fact that she's a conference table and it's all women. Anybody who's really been in business knows that whole all women team, that's not a smart idea. You want a team of people. You want boomers. You want Gen Zers. You want Gen X. You want millennials. You want men, you want women, you want gay, you want Asian, you want black, you want Latinos, because you want to have a finger on the pulse of every person in the world. You want to speak everybody's language. So that right there to me was very telling that I don't know how much she does in that business. I think she started there as a receptionist, and now she's running the whole company. I've also keep up with them outside of the show, and I know that she opened like one of these dining places, you know, where they they opened like a timeout that they had in Miami where they have all different restaurants. Like they had Jones Chicken and places like that are great. But like, I don't know if the place went down, but she opened one that was like for Shoma, you know, and it just doesn't make sense. Like her business ideas don't seem to produce a lot of income. One of the things that when I was listening back to the Jeff Lewis thing was that Stephanie Shojaee was launching Stephanie Shojaee. So I don't know what that means, but it's a brand of something, probably skincare again. I don't know, or clothes or furnishings. I have no idea. If I see another skincare line, I'm going to kill myself. But so she's doing something like that. All in all, I enjoyed the episode, you know.
I liked it.
It left me wanting to see more ridiculousness.
Yes.
I want to see how the Todd thing plays out. I hate that Alexia is speaking out of both sides of her mouth, where she said it's all rented, it's all fake car, fake apartment, and then she goes on Watch What Happens Live and says that wasn't true, that he didn't have any financial problems. It's like, now we don't believe you. You know, now we don't believe you. And Todd being such an asshole, like somebody asked on his social media something about what would you do if your wife, you know, you divorced your wife, but like how much money would you give her? And he goes, well, did she bring anything to the table? Like, did she bring anything at all? Like, in other words, it was somebody kind of the subtext asking about Alexia and him saying that she never brought anything to the table. So just the more I see about it, I think it was a very bad relationship for her. And, you know, that she should try to do better. So I'm excited to see next week. And we'll keep, you know, we'll definitely have to have you back because I want to know what, you know, kind of like mid-season or just to see how you're feeling about these people, to see if we're both feeling the same way. You know, like Stephanie, I feel like I'm not going to like her. And I thought I was going to love her. And like, who knew that I would say Marisol should have a mojito and that I feel bad for Alexia? I mean, like, who am I? So
I never thought I would see the day.
No, I know. But like, you know what? This is what people don't know about me. Like, I'm reasonable and I'll recognize when I'm wrong. I am watching this with you guys. What I'm saying are things based on my knowledge of them. And I can tell you for sure that I know that Alexia's like, I want it. And maybe later I'll dump you, but I want it. Like, that is part of it. I don't know if she's that crazy in love with him. You know, I don't. So.
Yeah, there's something going on. I just don't know what it is either.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be a good season and I'm excited about it. And also, we're going to have OC starting soon, so that'll be good.
I know. I'm interested in seeing how that plays out, especially because there were rumors that Tamara had like quit mid-season. So I'm like, did she get scared of Gretchen? Is that what happened?
I think she got a little scared of Gretchen, and I think that Tamara's used to being, you know, at this point, she's the longest running housewife in the franchise. You know, she's been on the show longer than anybody else, and she likes her, you know, crown and she likes her throne. And if she feels threatened by it, she's going to, you know, go crazy. She also was dealing with the whole thing about Teddy, I guess. But, you know, Tamara's Tamara. And I feel that it'll end up that Gretchen's afraid of Tamara because Tamara can be scary. So I'm interested to see what happens. They're just getting more and more desperate and they're therefore more and more entertaining.
That's the hope anyway.
Yeah. Okay, Richie. Well, thank you so much for joining me today that Ace wasn't here. We appreciate you. Can't wait to see you on Heard At. And thank you guys for listening. Be sure to leave 5-star reviews. If not, please don't say anything bad about Ace because then it's going to be weeks of therapy. 5 stars. And thank you, Pat, and thank you, Heard At. And thank you, all of you, for listening. And we will see you next week. Bye.